Did you know there are actually 7 humans in Chainsaw Man with powers like Denji's? By the end of this video, you will know everything there is to know about these hybrid devils. First up, we have Katana Man, the hybrid of the Katana Devil and the human grandson of that fat old scumbag who got Denji killed way back in episode 1. Speaking of Denji, he, Katana Man, and really all the hybrids have some stuff in common. Regeneration by consuming blood, massive physical stat buffs, and really painful transformations are the norm, but the trigger for those transformations is different in each hybrid devil. While Denji has his chainsaw cord, Katana Man's got, well, a fake left hand. He pulls it off to reveal a katana, and then bam, there's giant swords sticking out of his head and arms. In this hybrid form, Katana Man's as strong and tough as any higher tier devil. He can cut through solid walls, crash off whole buildings without taking any fall damage, and even survive being swallowed by Aki's Fox Devil. As freaky as that is though, Katana Man's real specialty is his speed. In his hybrid form, he can easily keep up with Aki and Denji, but that goes up to a whole other level when he uses a special move, Sword Draw Dash. Based on an old school quick draw sword technique, Katana Man uses this move to dash forward faster than the human eye can see. A lot like Zenitsu's signature Thunderclap and Flash, this makes it look like Katana Man just teleports from one spot to another and slices everything in between. Even Denji can't see him coming in time to stop him from lopping off both his hands. As OP as that makes him though, Katana Man's got a couple of massive weaknesses. Most importantly, he can't change his path once he starts that move. So all Denji had to do in their first fight was aim where the dude's head would be and bingo bongo, his body's gonzo. And if that wasn't bad enough, Katana Man's transformation can't even be spam like Denji and the other hybrids can. In fact, he's the only hybrid devil who has a cooldown period when he can't transform again after doing it once. I guess even devils get performance issues sometimes. Now maybe you're a little underwhelmed. I mean, sure, he's cool and all, but Katana Man's just Chainsaw Man from Temu. Well then, I present to you Sword Man. Yeah, this is exactly what it sounds like. Sword Man is 100% just Katana Man 2.0. If that dude's a knockoff from Temu, this dude's a knockoff of the knockoff. Even his trigger is the exact same as Katana Man, with the only difference being that he pulls off his right hand instead of the left, and his blades are more like long swords than katanas. But what's really interesting about Sword Man, whose real name is Mirisugo, is actually his human half. See, unlike Katana Man, this guy is just a high schooler who keeps getting caught up with the wrong crowd. First, it's with Makima, who turns him into one of her brainwashed minions, and then later it's with the maniacs who call themselves the Church of Chainsaw Man. And as crazy as that sounds, Miri isn't even the only hybrid devil that's a part of this church. Now no, there are no less than 3 more hybrids working with these psychos. And if you haven't caught up to the manga yet, stick around to see who these 3 are. For now though, let's change things up and take a look at a more long-ranged hybrid. Bow hybrid Quan Chi. The only hybrid devil who's as dangerous in her human form as her hybrid form, Quan Chi isn't just the bow hybrid. She's also the first devil hunter. That's right, despite being one of the baddest women in the series, Quan Chi's older than your grandma, and her skills in battle prove she's got the experience to match that age. In her human form alone, she's strong enough to take down not 1, not even 2, but 3 hybrid devils with just her standard katanas, and her speed just as deadly. In chapter 60 of the manga, she slices apart the heads of a whole crowd of puppets and gets past them before they can even see that she's moved from her spot. Katana Man who? And remember, this is all before she even triggers her hybrid transformation, which she does by pulling an arrow out of her right eye. It's a whole thing. Once she does that, Quan Chi transforms into a bow devil and gets all the physical buffs of the form and long-range attacks on top of her already cracked moveset. As the bow hybrid, Quan Chi can shoot arrows from her crossbow arms that are powerful enough to punch holes clean through whatever they're fired at. Now, all that's really cool, yeah, but let's be completely for real. Quan Chi's most incredible achievement, which actually has nothing to do with combat, is the literal harem of fiends this woman pulled. Between all the skills and special powers I just talked about, including the harem, Quan Chi's easily the most impressive of all the hybrids on this list, except for one. I'm sure you already know who that is, but I'm gonna save the best for last anyways. Now remember those psycho hybrids I mentioned from the Church of Chainsaw Man? Let's talk about those. Spear hybrid. The first of these guys is the Spear hybrid, also known as Nameless NPC Weapon Hybrid 1. Unlike Sword Man, this guy's name is never actually revealed in the manga, and it doesn't matter anyways, since he's only there to be a minion for bigger bats. Much like Swordman and the other hybrids in the Chainsaw Church, the Spear hybrid used to be a member of Makima's Special Division 5, a team of weapon hybrid devils that were brought together under her mind control for the sole purpose of fighting the Chainsaw Devil at full power. If you're confused on what that's all about, well, I'm sorry, but you're just gonna have to read the manga. I don't want to spoil everything for you. After being freed from Makima's mind control, he went on to be a minion yet again, but this time under another hybrid devil in the Church of Chainsaw Man. Plot relevance aside, the Spear hybrid's abilities are actually pretty impressive in theory. Just like the other hybrids, he has the general abilities like basic super strength, speed, durability, regeneration by consuming blood, and his trigger is pulling a spear out of his spine like a Kimimaro cosplayer. But where he stands out is with his namesake, the spears he can create and use. Obviously, there's the option to use them as a melee weapon, but the Spear hybrid's true strength is in launching them. See, once he chooses a target and tosses his spears, his ability makes sure that they hit that target no matter what. The only way to dodge one of these is straight up outspeeding the spears, as seen in the fight with Chainsaw Man. Now at this point, I'm sure you're wondering, do any of these hybrids have a weapon from after the frickin' Middle Ages? Well, yes. In fact, 3 of them wield weapons from the present day, and we're just about to get to them. Before that though, we've got one more old school weapon hybrid to talk about, and it's the next member of the weapon hybrids, Whip Hybrid. The Whip Hybrid's largely the same as her colleague, the Spear Hybrid, when it comes to goals and motivations. She was mind controlled by Makima to fight Chainsaw Man. He beat her, she lived, she got freed, and then joined the Chainsaw Church. Her trigger is snapping her fingers to mimic the sound of a whip, after which she turns into this thing. In her hybrid form, NPC2 has whips for arms that have incredible range and unbelievable strength, being strong enough to shred human bodies apart. But enough about her, it's finally time to talk about the last member of the Chainsaw Church hybrids, and the first of the modern weapon users, Flamethrower Hybrid. The Flamethrower Hybrid, Baron Bridge. Now, unlike all the other hybrids, I'll get Baron's powers out of the way first, so I can talk about all the horrific stuff he did without them. As usual, he's got all the basic buffs that come from being a hybrid. His trigger is pushing down on his molar teeth, and his hybrid form gives him fuel tanks for a head and flamethrowers for arms. And not just any flamethrowers, but ones as supercharged as his own strength as a hybrid. The blasts from these things are strong enough to cause actual explosions that spread across a whole building floor and set a zombie horde on fire. There. Now let's get to the insanity that's impossible to ignore when talking about this guy. Barum is an absolutely psychopathic madman who was obsessed with Makima even after being freed from her mind control. The second in command of the Church of Chainsaw Man, the main villain of a later manga arc, and above all, one of the only bad guys in the series to truly make Denji suffer. See, after being freed of Makima's mind control, Barum actually became more devoted to her and her goals than ever before. Goals which required Chainsaw Man to be an active piece on the chessboard. But at this point in the manga, Denji's retired and he's trying to live a peaceful life with his cat, dogs, and adopted daughter. So what does Barum do? He threatens Denji and his friends, he threatens a terrorist attack at an amusement park, he burns down Denji's apartment while all his pets are still inside, he kidnaps his daughter after tricking a mob into trying to kill her, and then, after all else fails, when Denji finds him and demands his daughter back, what does Barum do? He serves Denji his own daughter's severed head on a sushi plate. Even though his powers make him a hybrid in every way that matters, Barum Bridge is a true devil. Now, I know that was a massive bombshell to drop on you guys, but we've still got 2 more hybrids to get through, so hang in there. And speaking of bombshells, this next hybrid uses exactly those. Bomb Girl or Reze. The Bomb Devil hybrid, also known as Bomb Girl, whose real name is Reze. Put simply, Reze is a living, breathing, infinitely regenerating bomb. Take her trigger for example, which is a literal grenade pin on the side of her neck. By pulling this, Reze's head pops off her body and becomes a bomb she can throw at her enemies. After this head blows up, Reze's hybrid form comes out of the explosion, fully healed from the transformation. Meanwhile, her original body turns into a bomb as well, which she can blow up whenever she wants. But it doesn't stop there. Reze's powers aren't just limited to herself. She can create explosions at will, Bakugo style, all while never taking the slightest damage from them herself. And that's saying something because these explosions are strong enough to hurt Denji in his hybrid form and the Shark Fiend. And speaking of Bakugo, the similarities keep going, because she can use mini explosions from her arms and legs to fly. Now combine that absolute control over her explosions with her own body's immunity to them, and you've got the perfect melee fighting style. What I mean is, Reze can set off explosions at the exact moment of impact to give all her punches and kicks literally explosive power. But guess what? It still doesn't end there, because on top of that, Reze can transform her limbs into torpedoes, adding another level of explosive power to her melee attacks. And if all that wasn't enough, she can pull off any part of her body and turn it into a remote bomb. In summary, Reze can create bombs, become a bomb, shoot out explosions at will, and fly. Oppenheimer who? And now finally, we come to the last hybrid devil on this list, the strongest hybrid ever, and the one this whole story's about. The final hybrid is none other than Denji, better known as the Chainsaw Man. You might think his powers are as simple as Katana Man on steroids, but that's not quite it. In fact, the powers granted to Denji by his devil heart are on a whole other level. Once he pulls the cord on his chest, Denji's whole body turns into a bloody bringer of death and destruction, with chainsaws bursting out of his arms and head, as well as his legs if he wants them to. Denji is unlike any other hybrid, and this boils down to the devil who replaced his heart when he first died, the Chainsaw Devil Pochita. See, Pochita is no ordinary devil, but one of the absolute strongest in history. As the original Chainsaw Devil in Hell, it's been implied he could take on every single being down there and win, because as long as he's consuming blood, he's also healing and needs no rest. All of these things transfer over to Denji when he's in his hybrid form. Just like Pochita, his strength is out of this world, his endurance is out of the galaxy, and his stamina is just unbelievable, all of which is seen clearly in his time as a public safety devil hunter. He can lift and toss entire cars, survive point-blank blasts from other devils like the Bat Devil and Reze herself, and deflect bullets with his chainsaws. And that's to say nothing of the incident with the Eternity Devil, where Denji was forced to constantly kill it while being torn to shreds himself, healing over and over for 3 full days. But those are just the insane levels his base stats jump to. What about his abilities? Well, instead of just using his chainsaws raw, Denji can get creative with them too, using the chain parts of them separately to capture enemies, drag them close, cut them, throw them, or whatever else he wants. And yet, even with all that, Denji still has one trump card that's completely unique to him, something no other hybrid can do: complete devil transformation. By completely giving himself up and letting Pochita take control of his body, Denji transforms into a hulking black armored brute straight out of Berserk. The Chainsaw Devil reaches a level of speed and strength that outright no-diffs every other devil in the verse. No being can stand up to the Chainsaw Devil's power by themselves, or even together. Even Makima herself has admitted to being killed 26 times by this form of the Chainsaw Devil. Even after all that though, there's one last feat Denji's achieved in this form that's more insane than any of the others. And this was in chapter 88 during the battle against Makima and her brainwash weapon hybrids. In a combined attack, they launch Chainsaw Man all the way to space. So, suffering the effects of the infinite vacuum up there, what does he do? He rips out his heart or core, takes a pitching stance, and yeets that thing back to Earth. And between the time his heart enters Earth's atmosphere and reaches the Makima squad, Chainsaw Man regenerates his entire body. Durability, check. Then he uses his chains to catch each member of the Makima squad. Versatility, check. And then in a single move of overwhelming speed and power, he rips them all apart.